Miranda Otto, when we first meet Allison Carr, she's a Berlin CIA chief of station working for Saul Berenson. But she becomes so much more than that, right?
Hmm.
Tell us about,
Yeah.
yeah, tell us about her and what we come to learn about her as the season progresses.
Well, I was told in the beginning that that I was going to be having an affair with Saul, and that I was actually working for the SVR for the Russians as well. So I kind of knew that going in, um, but it got more and more complicated as it went on, as the season progressed. The level of deception grew.
It was so fun to watch your character arc from beginning to end. And I'm just curious, what was it like coming into the show in a fifth season? I mean, this is a very, very popular heralded show. It won Best Drama Series at the Emmys. So as the newbie, what was it like kind of, meeting everyone and creating your own character?
The great thing about coming onto a show that's already established is that everybody on the show knows what the show is. So the writing team is so strong, and they know what works, and the actors all know their roles so intimately. So you're coming on to a production that is really well organized and really capable of achieving things that are seemingly impossible. The interesting thing is coming on and holding your own against people who are just so intimate with their characters and such fabulous actors. So that was the big thing. Was my husband said to me before I went on, he said, "You really better step up when you go on, because these guys are so good."
Like, no pressure, just
Yeah,
just do your best. But
yeah.
no, it's true. I mean, the actors on this show are so critically acclaimed. You got to work a lot with Mandy Patinkin, who is legendary as
Yeah.
Saul Berenson, because Allison, she's kind of working for him, and then it's revealed that she's sleeping with him by episode 3. As we start to learn more about her, talk us through working with someone of that caliber, someone like Mandy Patinkin.
Mandy's an absolute perfectionist, and he brings such wisdom and depth to everything that he does, and it's unnerving at times how real he is in the moment. Nothing ever seems acted. There's no kind of joins. I can't see how he's working or putting it together. He's just completely there. He's so immersed, and he knows so much about what he's talking about. He's an inspiring person to work with.
As an actor, was it really fun playing the double life of this character? You had the good Allison and the bad Allison. And which version was more fun to play?
The bad Allison is definitely the most fun to play. I never knew it was so much fun to be bad. I've played a lot of roles that are, nice people or heroines or that kind of thing. So I haven't played a lot of characters who are, hugely deceitful. So the bad was definitely the really fun stuff to play. I was really fascinated when they told me about the idea, because the idea of the CIA in itself is so secretive. You live a very, very private life. You can't really talk to other people about what you do except people that you work with. And even with them, there's levels of what you can divulge. But then the idea that you were working for the SVR as well was so fascinating to me, that you could choose to do that, because it means that you're acting all the time. You're never really yourself. You're controlling everything that you do. So that was a really interesting thing to take on as an actor, the idea of that being that alone.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I never thought of it that way, but Allison is acting, and so you are having to play, Allison play something else, which would have been, I can imagine, quite challenging. Also, as we progress through the season, Allison just becomes more and more unhinged, and I think that would, as an actor, would be really fun to play. Do you agree that just being really unhinged and paranoid is something that you enjoy to do?
Yeah, it was fun. I think I kind of became a little paranoid myself while I was there. I think the paranoia wore off. I think, sometimes when you're playing a role, like bits of these, I never think I am the character, but in my life. But certainly the world that you're in kind of changes your own world a bit. So I think I became a little paranoid during shooting it. I just loved how many. I mean, the writing on the show is incredible. Every word, everything. When I listen to what people are saying, just the way they will craft 3 lines in a scene that tells you so much about what's going on there, and you think there's no other way they could have written it. It's so cleverly written. But I loved all the different layers that they put into Allison, the vulnerabilities that they gave her, the toughness, the steeliness, the self-doubt at times, and then the incredible resolve. They just kept painting more and more parts to her, which made it fun to play.
And now, if you get nominated at the Emmy Awards, you will have to submit an episode to the judges. You have to pick one, which may be really hard for you because you had so many great episodes. Is there maybe 1 or 2 that you would lean toward if you get nominated?
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that that was something that I had to do. I imagine that's something that people decided for you.
Claire is very good. Claire's won twice for this role. So give it back to her if you need it.
She has so many great episodes and so many great scenes. It would be hard for her to choose. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because I think of particular scenes that I really love, but then to think of episodes. I mean, I love the episode that they showed last night, the Litvinov Ruse is a really great episode. I remember when I watched it, it was so tense, and I really enjoyed that. But, oh, gosh, really hard to choose. I also really like episode 11.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say episode 11 is the one, just in case people have forgotten, where you're in that shootout. And she's just completely lost the plot to the point where she's like, the only way I'm going to extricate myself from this disaster is if I shoot myself. So she does. And when I watched that, I was thinking, I would love to ask Miranda, just through the logistics of filming that. Like, I don't know if you've done a lot of work with guns in various other shows and films you've done, but what was that like? Because, I mean, I don't know how you even feel about holding guns, but did you have to psych yourself up, and was there any training involved, or talk us through that?
Yeah. So when I read it, I thought, wow, this is such a great scene. I love it. Now I've really got to step up and do it because I haven't done a lot of stuff with guns. It's just not the kind of roles that I've played. So I got in touch with the stunt team and I said, you better, take me out and show me what we're going to do because I want to look like I know what I'm doing here. So we did a lot of practice, and I shot with real guns and shot with the guns that we were using and tried to work out the logistics of how you could make this actually look real. I know in the end that over time, I mean, she escapes from the hospital before there's much time to get into the ballistics of the situation, but the ballistics are really hard to make work because of the proximity of the shot in the shoulder. But we certainly tried to stage it in such a way that it would be believable enough to the people who are coming in the circumstances that they're in at that time, to let it get her to the hospital so that she could escape. But yeah, it was definitely something that I had to work on because it was such a great scene. When I read it, I really wanted it to make it as good as possible.
And now Rob and I are crazy awards nuts. We love hearing award stories, and just last year, this year, you were nominated at the SAG Awards with the ensemble of Homeland. What was that like being, honored by your peers with that nomination?
The SAG Awards is actually a really great show. It's a really tight show, and I had a really great night. It was wonderful to be nominated for the whole cast, by your peers. I mean, we all want to be. Find that respect from our peers, definitely. But I had a lot of fun. I drank a lot of champagne and I sat with Harry, and we had a lot of laughs.
Yeah, actually, Marcus and I were talking earlier. It reminded us that you've been honoured before by the SAGs for your work on Lord of the Rings. Did it bring back any memories of that time and when the whole of Hollywood seemed to be really behind that series, especially when it ended?
Yeah, I wasn't really in America at the time that would have been happening. I definitely wasn't at the SAG Awards that year. I've never been to the SAG Awards before this time. I think I was doing a play in Australia at the time that would have all been happening. I mean, I certainly went to a number of the premieres, and it was huge. I mean, there was a huge amount of interest in the films, and it was a whirlwind. It was really exciting.
How does this role of Allison compare to some of the other things you've done in your career? Like in particular, I'm just wondering, when you get recognized on the street, what do people recognize you from, want to talk to you about?
In the past, usually Lord of the Rings. Sometimes I did a TV show, Kashmir Mafia. I've had people come up to me about that, and occasionally in Australia about other things. But most of the time, Lord of the Rings has been the thing. But since this, a lot of people come up to me about Homeland. There's a lot of people who watch this show, and they have really strong feelings about Allison.
Yeah. I was also wondering, I've been aware of you for a very long time, given that I'm Australian. You've worked in Australia for years. You then moved across to the States, or to New Zealand. You worked on Lord of the Rings, but you're now doing quite a lot of work in the States, especially on television. And in this era of what we like to now call peak TV, it just seems a lot of people, a lot of actors, cast and crew are gravitating towards the American television industry. Can you talk us through your thoughts on how good American television is now, and the differences between working in Oz and working in LA?
Well, first of all, about American television, I guess it was around 2008 where I started to get interested in working in TV. I'd mainly always worked in film or theater, and I'd done very little TV. And then the idea of working with a lot of people over a long period of time and developing a character, and then just reading the scripts. And it's just, I mean, to me, TV is absolutely about the writing. If the writing's not there, it's never going to fly. In film, it's about the writing as well, but it's also very much about the director and what happens through that process. But in TV, to me, it's really about the writing. You've got to work with good writers. And there are so many great writers in TV at the moment, and that's where the really good women's roles are. There's not a lot in film. I mean, there's a few, but they're really highly contested. People all want them, and you see a little role in something, you think, oh, that'd be good to play, and then you hear, oh, Julie Roberts playing that. You go, oh, okay. So there's not much out there, and the things that are out there go to like the really big movie stars. So TV is a place where I think, because there's so many new platforms in television, and everybody's looking to stake out their area of difference and what is the niche of their platform, that they're really saying to writers, be bold, do something different. We don't want you to make something that's already on TV. We want you to make something completely different. So it's become a real golden age for television, because writers have been given the license, the creative license, to do more interesting things, and they're finding that the audiences really respond to topics that they never would have predicted. So I say, thank you, American television. Thank you so much for the great roles.
And we're very excited. I think your next role is going to be on 24 on the spin-off. Who are you playing in that show? What can you tell us about her?
I'm playing Rebecca Ingram. She is meant to be former head of the CTU. She's sort of in transition, leaving and handing over to somebody else. But on this one day when that is meant to be happening, a whole lot of things are going to happen, which involves an operation that she was involved with, which is going to kind of draw her back in to deal with this particular situation involving the many potential terror attacks within America.
That sounds pretty cool. So look, we are looking forward to that. We're going to miss Allison. It was a really interesting character to watch. And I'm sure it was great for you to play her as well. And we wish you all the best for the upcoming 24 and also perhaps even Emmy season, which is only just around the corner.
Thank you. Thank you very much.